Hey, what up, YouTube? It's your boy Sean, aka Sean93,000. What's going on with y'all out there in YouTube land? Hopefully, you guys are having a good week, even though it's just Tuesday. Hopefully, it started off really good and is only getting better. Anyway, right now, I just finished a run, made a quick little delivery. It was only like 10 minutes, so I'm guessing it. Actually, I could look if I wanted, but I'll check it out later. Probably didn't net me no more than like $5 or $6. Those little ones like that, you kind of like them because you can do a lot of them, but you don't like them because they don't pay very much, as opposed to those long runs. Damn. Now that's a messed up thing to do. You riding in the back of a truck with the door up. You got hits a speed bump, you can go flying out of the back. Reminds me of when we were kids, riding in the back of a pickup truck. No seat belts, no seats, in fact. Everybody got to hang on when the truck turns. And God help you if you hit some potholes or a speed bump or something. Everybody gets thrown into the air. Can't believe some of the crazy dumb things we did as kids, right? You couldn't pay me to do that these days. But that's not what I wanted to talk about. It's just that truck went down the street and there you go, you know? Anyway, wanted to talk about something that it's been a subject that I wanted to address for a little while now. And I don't know if it's a female thing or if it's just a universal thing, men and women. And right now you might hear the engine running. That's because I'm charging up my phone. Last night I plugged it up, or at least I thought I did. Left it overnight, woke up this morning, it was at 5% power. I'm like, are you kidding me? So I didn't plug it up. I guess I stuck the cord in there and it just didn't go in all the way. I don't know. Anyway, I have to spend most of the day now charging the bloody thing up. Well, like I was saying, I don't know if this is a universal thing or if it's men and women. But the last two females that I was involved with in long-term relationships, not just, what it is. My son's mom and my ex. And they both told me something that kind of stuck with me. I guess it's just part of that idea that I have a certain type. But my son's mom was the first to tell me this. I had never heard this before from any woman that I'd ever been involved with. She told me that when she was growing up, she always felt like the ugly duckling, the ugly girl. That her cousins, her sisters, her friends were all more attractive than she was. And so she always felt like the odd man out. When they would go different places or they would go out to clubs or they would meet guys and things like that, because she was never, in her own opinion, the pretty girl, she would either get stuck with the guy that the others didn't want, or she had to do something above and beyond what the other girls were doing in order to get the best guy in the group. And by that I mean she had to put out, as we used to say back in the day. These days I'm not sure what the kids call it. My son is 7. He doesn't really know a whole lot of street slang unless he hears it on TV. So back in the day we used to call it put out. I guess I'll just say it, have sex. And this was in both of my exes told me the same story. My last girl, and this is what I don't understand. These women were beautiful. They really are beautiful. And it's not just my opinion. We would go different places, and guys would damn near walk in the walls, turning their head to look at my girl. One guy damn near tripped downtown when I took my son's mom downtown just to show her what downtown Chicago looked like. One dude was looking back so hard he damn near tripped on the sidewalk. And I've always believed, and I've always told them how beautiful they were, because they were. But for some reason, they couldn't see that, you know? What circumstances can lead to a person not being able to see what they look like in a mirror? I know that there are like medical terms and things like that. I mean, I understand that people suffer from, mental conditions like anorexia and body dysmorphic, complex or whatever it's called, because they see something, the wind is picking up. They see something in the mirror that's ugly, overweight, unattractive, and nobody else in the whole world sees that but them, which prompts people to starve themselves or whatever, And in the case of my son's mom and my ex, they both had this same problem, where when they looked in the mirror, they didn't see what I saw. And they were both beautiful women. Beautiful young women. Smart, talented, ambitious, driven, focused. Great little bodies if you like petite women with long black hair, which I do. But to them, they were the ugly girls. They were the ugly girls in their group. My ex, my last girl, she suffered from this shortness, this short complex. Being Japanese, most Asians are short anyway. But she was shorter than most. In fact, she's actually much smaller than my son's mom. But not by, not like by feet, by a whole foot or something, just a few inches. And that bothered her too. The fact that she was so small, people used to treat her like a kid. And she hated that. And no matter what I would say to either of my exes, it would never seem to get through, to permeate, their minds to the point where they would be able to see themselves the way I saw them. And in both cases, really, it led to them doing things sexually that you would consider dangerous, stupid, and kind of slutty, I'll give you a classic example. My son's mom, we lived together for about 4 years. We lived together in the same house for about 4 years. We dated for a very, very long time. We dated for 9.5 years. But we didn't live in the same place. She lived with me for a little while. I lived with her for a while. But in this particular house, we were together for about 4 years. And one day I cooked dinner. I decided I wanted to cook dinner. I wanted to show her an authentic African-American version of chicken and dressing. And I cooked all day. I got a whole chicken, cut it up. I boiled it with my onions and my carrots and celery, bell pepper, salt, pepper. Even threw a little bit of garlic in there just to give it a little bit of punch, Made my got some cornmeal, made my cornbread. Did it up, Big giant pan of chicken and dressing. I had my sage and the whole 9 yards. It was smelling like Thanksgiving up in that joint. Let's put it that way. And for those of you that don't know, your boy can cook. You don't believe me? There's pictures on Instagram and Facebook of me getting down. All right? Any man that can cook is a man doomed to starve. Trust me. Because these days, you can't count on your woman being able to cook. Neither of my exes could cook worth a damn. My son's mom, she was the queen of baking shit in the oven. My last one, I don't really know what the fuck was going on. I really don't. So, Any man who can't cook will soon find yourself starving to death or eating out of a whole lot of different restaurants. Your best bet, watch your mom when your mom is cooking. Learn how to cook. You'll need it in the future. But anyway, she invited her cousin over and her cousin's husband. And we all got together and we had like a little, get together meal. She wanted to, I guess she wanted to see if anybody else would pass out from my chicken and dressing before she got into it. And her cousin came over and she brought her husband. And he and I, we talking and we hanging out and we cool and everything. Everybody's eating and trying and like, oh my God, this is so good. I've never had this before. What is this? How did you make it? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm, explaining like, this has been a staple in my house since I can remember. I mean, some people do turkey and dressing. I grew up with a mom who did chicken and dressing. My mom didn't like to cook big ass turkeys. She would get turkeys every year free. People would give it out, them big ass turkeys for Thanksgiving and Christmas and shit. She'd bring it home, put it in the freezer, and it would just stay there until about September or October of the next year, where she would just clean out the freezer and she would throw it away. She did not like cooking turkeys because they take so long to cook. That was my mom. She preferred the chicken. It was easier to cook. It cooked faster. So chicken and dressing was just something I grew up on. And so like I say, everybody's complimenting me. We having a good time, good conversation. I'm telling them about Chicago because at that point I was living up north in Canada. And these were people that had never been to Chicago. So I'm telling them about Chicago and how great it is and, all the sports teams that we have here and things like that, and they're telling me about, the places in Canada that I hadn't been yet, and it was good, we had a good fucking day. Let's put it that way. Nighttime comes, we say our goodbyes to each other, they go home. I clean up afterwards, I'm doing the dishes. Like my mom used to always say, you make a dish, you clean a dish. That way they don't stack up on you. If you're cleaning as you cook, you don't have to worry about a whole 2 sinks full of dishes later on. So all I had to do was clean the utensils and the plates and the bowl, whatever bowls we used and of course the glasses once they left. So it was an easy clean. About 10 to 15 minutes and I was done. I was ready to kick back, watch a little TV. So my girl and I are relaxing in the bedroom, digesting that chicken and dressing. And she's like, starts smiling. And I'm like, you must have had a good time seeing your cousin. She's like, yeah, but I got something to tell you. I'm like, okay, what? She's like, her husband, I'm not going to give their name away because like I said, I don't ever blow people up. But I'm like, yeah, I know, dude. He's a cool cat. We had a good conversation. We talked about sports. We talked about fishing, which he's into. I'm obviously not. I've never been fishing, but people have been threatening. People have been threatening to take me fishing for a very long time. And I always seem to get out of it. Man, when I was younger, my grandmother used to drag me fishing. She loved it. She used to make us go in the backyard and dig up worms. Maybe that's one of the reasons why I hate fishing so much. And then baiting the hook, you got to put the hook through the worm's body, not just once, but like multiple times. Ugh. Now, normally I'm not squeamish, but damn. And then fishing is just boring as fuck. You just sit there for hours holding a fishing pole, or you got it, stuck in the ground, waiting on a nibble. Man, I could be doing anything else that's more exciting than that. I could be watching paint dry. I hate fishing, but this dude was into fishing, so we had talked, and I'm telling him about, football and baseball, You know, my Cubs and the Bulls and the Blackhawks. And of course he knows about the Blackhawks because he's Canadian and he's into hockey. But he's making fun of my Blackhawks, you know, oh, they suck, blah, blah, blah. This was before they won their first championship. So they had, and to be totally honest, the Blackhawks had a lot of losing years, you know. They weren't always as good as they are now. This is a golden age. When I was a kid, they used to actually come on WGN, and then they stopped it because nobody was watching. That's how bad the team was. But back to the conversation. My girl and I are talking, and she's like smiling, and I'm like, and she tells me her cousin's husband, she had screwed this guy in the past. And I'm like, and I'm thinking, well, my first thought was, well, maybe she meant she screwed this guy before her cousin met him. I mean, shit does happen that way sometimes. And she's like, they were engaged at the time that she did this shit. And I'm like, okay. And she's like, and my cousin came to me because she came, I guess they were doing it in her cousin's house, in her cousin's bed. Double fucked up. And her cousin came home early and damn near caught them. My girl got away by going out the window. Some old in the closet shit, right? R. Kelly in the closet, man. Damn. You go out the window. The point is, a couple of days later, her cousin comes to her and tells her in confidence, I think my fiance is screwing somebody else behind my back. Have you heard anything? Or do you know anything? And my girl is like, nah, I don't know anything. Lying straight to her cousin. And this is not like a second cousin, all right? They're first cousins. Their mothers are sisters. Okay? To put it into perspective, their mothers are sisters. Same father, same mother, sisters. And my girl did this shit. And all those years, they stayed together, got married, even had a kid. And my girl knew she had done this foul ass deed and never said anything to her own cousin. And then you got the audacity, the mother freaking audacity, to invite this guy over to your house to eat food that I had spent all damn day cooking, knowing that you guys had screwed in the past. And you don't tell me beforehand. I get it. If she had told me beforehand, it would have been fucked up and awkward. I know me. There's no way in hell I would have been able to keep a straight face. There's no way I could have kept that a secret. No. So she did the right thing by not telling me, but I'm blown away at the fact that she did this shit to her cousin, of all people. And so I asked, why would you do that? And her answer was, because she thought she was the shit. Because she thought she was the shit. Or she thinks she cute and all this other stuff. That's your cousin. Tip of the iceberg with my ex, with my son's mom. Come to find out, half the women in that town wanted to beat her ass for fucking with their men. To the point where it was almost a situation where vehicular homicide came into play. All right? That's how bad the shit got. I'm like, why are you fucking other people's men? And the only thing I can think of beyond just the fact that you hoish as hell is she's making up. She's making up for the fact that the only way she ever thought she could get a guy was to fuck him. Because she, in her own mind, physically doesn't match up to the other women. And like I said, when I'm with a woman, I do everything in my power to try to let her know how beautiful she is. To encourage her, to believe in her, to stand with her, to stand behind her. But she couldn't process that she was pretty. Now, we're exes, and we've been exes for a while now. She wasn't beautiful. She wasn't the classic beauty. But she was pretty. She was pretty. But she couldn't see it. So she thought the best way to deal with the lack of this was to use all of this, if you know what I mean. And then my ex, my most recent ex, a string before we met, and I'm guessing since we broke up. I have no contact with her, so I don't know. But based on some of the shit that I have heard, just a string of guys. Because she doesn't feel that she has anything else to offer. Anything else that would make a man want to be with her, except her body. She used to always tell me guys treat me like a sex doll. But you facilitate that by playing the part of the sex doll. You don't go out with a guy and then immediately give him sex and then expect that he's going to, treat you like, well, some guys, some relationships grow out of sex. They do. But for the most part, if a guy's just looking to run through you and then on to the next, the worst thing you can do is fuck on the first date. That's the last thing you want to do. Because then you're just another number. You're just that release for the night. And then guys would get what they want. They would date. And I say date by guys show up, get some ass, leave, talk to you online, text you, call you on the phone when it's time for more sex. 2-3 weeks later, you don't hear from the guy anymore. Gee, I wonder why. First of all, there's no more challenge. Second of all, he's on to the next one. And I used to always tell her this. Like, babe, the mistake you made was giving it up right away. But she used to always tell me, well, how else am I going to get a boyfriend? And I'm like, how about you talk to a guy? How about you hang out with a guy? How about you give a guy an opportunity to get to know you, not to get to know your body? That was alien to her. Because she didn't feel she brought anything else to the table except all of this. And I know there's a lot of females out there, past, present, probably in the future, who feel the same way, that's all they have. If they want a boyfriend, if they want a man to like them, they have to give it up. You have to trade sex for a boyfriend. You can't just go out on dates, give a guy a chance to get to know you, give a guy a chance to want to be with you without sleeping with him first. And I don't know if guys operate on that same level. For one, it would be very, very difficult to get a woman to like you just for sex unless you are going well above the call of duty. You are doing yeoman's work, pal. And I mean, you are down there with your tongue. You were making it rain, nigga. You making it rain. I mean, you know, that's the only thing I can see as far as a guy being able to trade sex for a relationship. But do guys act that way? Are there some guys out there that act that same way? I've never met a guy who acts like that. I've met male sluts, don't get me wrong. I met dudes who tear through women like, you know, punching a hole through toilet paper with an ink pen or some shit, you know. But that's more an ego thing. You know, that's a guy with a huge ass ego. Like, shit, I got to get me a different one tonight. That's an ego thing. You know? But the ugly guy syndrome, if you will, where I guess maybe the male version of that would use money to get a girl, take a girl shopping on the first date. You know, that whole sugar daddy thing. If you're an older guy, I guess if you're a younger guy, I don't know what the term for a younger guy who buys women everything, takes them shopping, pays your rent and all this other good stuff is called. I've only known the term sugar daddy. Maybe that's the male version of the chick who has the low self-esteem, the low self-image, where you compensate because you feel the only way a woman can get to like you is if you buying her shit, which is a horrible, horrible fucking thing. Because chances are, you buying her all this shit and she fucking somebody else. Think about that for a minute. It ain't rocket science, pimp. If you soft, if you, like this, my mom used to always have a saying, if you find a fool, bump his head. It took me a long time to figure out what she was actually talking about, because when she first started saying this, I was young. And so I used to always, once I got older, I asked her, what does that mean? She was like, if you find a guy willing to be your damn fool, you take advantage of it. You bump his fucking head. And I just laughed. I burst out laughing because it was just like the mental image of that, of somebody actually bumping your head to take advantage of you. I know it's not the same, but be yourself. If yourself isn't good enough, go on to the next woman. Go on to the next man. Don't trade your body or your hard-earned cash for love, for potential love. Because in the end, you're not going to get it. You're going to come out hurt and you're going to come out alone. You want someone to love you, you first have to love who you are. Like they say, you got to love yourself before somebody else can love you. Whatever it takes. Go see somebody on a professional level. Talk to your minister, your best friend, whoever is your confidant. Whatever. Do little things to build yourself up, to build up your own self-esteem, your own confidence. That's the key to life. Success breeds success. And the more success you have, the more confident you become in yourself. It doesn't matter what you may think you look like. It may not matter what you think you are or what you bring to the table. If you're confident in yourself, if you know that you can have, maybe you can't have a supermodel. Maybe you can't have, I don't know, Brad Pitt or some shit. Or Angelina Jolie. Actually, I would pick Megan Fox over Angelina Jolie personally, but not by much. Small margin. I think small margin. But you can have a good ass woman. And you can have a decent ass man. A man who loves you for you. A woman who loves you for you. Without spending your money or spending your sex in order to get it. But it's up to you. I mean, I'm not a professional or anything like that. I'm not a psychiatrist or a psychologist. I'm just speaking on what I know. I'm cheap as dirt. What does that tell you? And yet, this is the first time, in a very long time that I have been sans woman. Think about that. It's been a long time since I wasn't involved in a relationship. Part of it is choice right now. I don't want to jump back into something right now. So I choose not to. I'm happy being by myself for a minute. And when the time comes, I'll go out there and find somebody. But I'm cheap as dirt. I don't spend shit that I don't have to spend. Because I know what I bring to the table. I think I'm a good boyfriend. And so, I don't go out there and sell myself short. Successes. Successes in life. Successes in sports. Successes with women. That's the difference maker. I know what I can bring to the table. You have to realize what you bring to the table. And that is just as important as somebody who's spending a ton of money or whatever. Find out what makes you special. Nurture it. But don't go out there with the idea that you don't measure up. That you got to do something like you got to screw a guy on the first date in order to get this guy to like you. Or you got to go out there and open your wallet for some woman in order to get her to like you. Like I said, you're going to end up by your damn self, and you're going to end up broke, and you're going to end up sad. Because those situations rarely, if ever, work out. Like my mom used to say, find a fool, bump his head. And there are professional fool finders out there. And they're looking for you. Don't let them find you. Alright, I was going to keep this video short, but damn, we went past short about 20 minutes ago. Hopefully this video helps. I don't know. It's been a long ass time since I got a call. It's a slow ass Tuesday, but then again, most Tuesdays are. I don't know how much money. Let me see. 50 stinking ass dollars. Shit. It's coming up on 12:30. Maybe you'll pick up then. Anyway, thanks for watching the video. If you stayed to the end, hey, congrats. Thank you. Like the video. Comment below. Subscribe to the channel. I appreciate it. In the meantime, take care of each other. Keep yourself safe. From what I hear, it was a hell of a bad weekend here in the city beautiful. I guess because it was so warm outside, crazy ass fools came out shooting. You hear gunfire, hit the ground. Hit the ground. Stay safe. Look out for each other. And I'll holler at you later. Peace.